What's up, government seekers? I am in a undisclosed location in a hotel room with a weird wall behind me. Maybe we'll turn it like that. There we go. So now we get part of a lamp and part of the weird doorway. Because the desk only has a light behind me, so it looks like I'm being interrogated or something. It doesn't add up. I'm just gonna do this. Move it this way. So I literally have slid the office chair next to the bed so I get the light from the window so that I'm more favorably lit. And I have a show tonight. So if you're in Phoenix, folks, come to Stir Crazy Comedy Club tonight at 7 o'clock for one show, and Tucson tomorrow night. Go to grahamelwood.com for tickets. And the special GovSeeks thing, if you'll get 20% off if you use coupon code Elwood20. That's for Phoenix and Tucson. Go to grahamelwood.com. Well, let's go, kids. Let's get it going. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Government Secrets, episode 122, with the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Graham Elwood.
I love that we're both doing this. This is the level of production of our show. I am reduced to hiding in a cockroach-laden underground of an Airbnb because my fucking entitled 1-year-old needs to sleep. I mean,
1-year-olds, come on. When are they're the worst. They think it's all about them.
He totally thinks it's all about him, and like he deserves to sleep somehow. I don't really get it. And then on top of that, I just discovered today that in the end times, it is hard to find organic watermelon. So I'm just saying everything is falling apart, Graham. Everything.
Well, that's always the first sign of a collapsing empire is when you can't get organic watermelon. That's usually when that's what happened in Rome. That's what happened in Rome. I mean,
it was absolutely in Rome. Absolutely. Nero took all the organic watermelon. He was just up there fiddling and munching. Watermelon just oozing down his chin while he fiddled.
That's what Egypt did.
Yep.
All the pharaohs took all of the organic watermelon, and then they just ate it themselves, and then threw the rinds at the slaves that built the pyramids.
They spit the seeds. They didn't have the brilliance of our seedless watermelons. They spit the seeds at the slaves. It's very true. It's very true. And that's why people come to us for accurate history, I feel like. So I'm glad we had this moment to go through this.
It's absolutely the high production value. You literally look like you're on a futon bed somewhere, and
it's not a futon, but it is cockroach laden, so that was not a lie.
Is that a category in Airbnb that you look for?
Yeah, you click. If you're looking for some cockroach friends, you just click that. The category, it's a tab. It's called Looking for Cock, and you just click that, and you're good to go.
I feel like a lot of people are really going to be disappointed when they click the Looking for Cock and then it's cockroaches. I feel like a lot of people are going to be misled. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
some are going to be disappointed. Some are going to be thrilled that that's what it was.
I'm not judging anybody's lifestyle choices either, Lee. Let people live the way they want to live. You know, like if two consenting adults and a cockroach are all in agreement, then let them be able to do whatever they want.
If two consenting adults want some cock, who are we to get in the way? Graham, I have said that my whole life.
Oh, I could not agree more, Lee Camp. I could not agree more. Well, folks, we have a fantastic episode of Government Secrets. And don't forget, afterwards, go to patreon.com/government secrets, where we will do a bonus segment. There's over 30 bonus segments. And if you're just joining the Patreon, you get the back catalog of all the bonus segments. And you should go to get as many as you can, because next week I'm out of town. I'm in Cancun, so I won't be able to do the show. So you guys really get as much Government Secrets as you
Your life just gets rougher and rougher. Really does.
It was tough. I couldn't do a show while I was in Hawaii, and I won't be able to do one when I'm in Cancun.
Folks, help Graham get to Cancun, because right now he's planning on just crawling there, but he's hoping if you can just chip in a few bucks, he can get a bus.
Well, I feel like with all this talk of, people at the border, I feel like I should offset it by going into Mexico. I'm just trying to be fair.
And doing some manual labor, picking blueberries or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing stand-up comedy at a resort, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. So
now, when they book you at a resort in Cancun, is it because they're more looking for the government secrets gram, the strip poker gram, or the Comic-Con gram? Which one are they looking for?
I think it's just, hey, here's an American that's has some TV credits. That's what I think.
Okay. So strip poker.
So strip poker gram. Yes, it's strip poker gram for sure.
By the way, I sent a strip poker gram to a girlfriend in college. It didn't go well.
Really? How did that not go well? Did you use a cockroach apartment, or how did that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I ate an apple right before the show started, and there's like a piece stuck between my teeth, and it's driving me fucking crazy. I'm sorry. It's just really, really hideous. I'm going to turn this away for a quick second. You can talk to my laugh.
I'm glad you told us that. I thought it was some affect you were trying out, like the new comedic pause where you pick your teeth like a hillbilly. I thought it was something new you were trying.
Yeah, it's my new hillbilly pick his teeth character that I was working on.
So the other day,
let me tell you something about the CIA, Lee Camp. Let me tell you something. All right. I feel like I don't know anything about your GovSeek. Is it a happy or sad one?
all those happy GovSeeks we've revealed.
Those jovial fun
Turns out everyone was given the cure to gonorrhea unbeknownst to themselves. They were tested on secretly, and they were just given cures. It was great. Yeah, no, mine's not. It's not like aggressively dark. It's not a lot of children dying. So my co-host this week is a lamp. We've actually decreased the budget on the show. We're down to lamp tier. And so it's just me and a lamp.
Yeah. The lamp is really trying to hog the camera in it. So he keeps turning it. It's really, really.
I didn't know you could top mattress cam, but this might be it.
I feel like, well, the people have been, since there's no new mattress cam since I moved at the beginning of the year, that they deserve some inanimate object cam just periodically to get them excited about it. Lamp cam.
So someone pointed out that in the chat here that Lee Camp and Lamp has a good ring to it. So.
Oh, it's Government Secrets with Lee Camp and Lamp. the most censored inanimate object in America, the lamp.
So mine is not aggressively sad. Do you want sad at the end or the beginning?
Well, didn't we kind of make a rule? I know these are our production meetings. Are always on the air as it's happening.
Join us for the first 15 is a production meeting. The next 45 is a show. That's how we do it here.
Let's just go live and figure it out. Let's just sort it out. Well, don't we usually try to, because we've done in the past where we've done a really heavy one at the end, and it kind of brings the show. I mean, mine's a good old Lost Nuke story, so those are always fun. So I don't know how you want to. You go first. You go first.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna first or second. I don't think I'm gonna bring the show down. Nobody's gonna leave here skipping, but you know.
If anyone leaves one of our shows skipping, then
they might leave skipping our show. But so
just be like, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. They're just gonna be like, you know what? I'm out. I'm just completely out. I'm a lamp. I'm done.
So James Jesus Angleton, which by the way, the Jesus is capitalized. So don't forget to do that.
Why is it capitalized?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
The James Jesus Angleton, we've mentioned him a few times before on this show. He is, I mean, he's up there with Allen Dulles and just like the worst of the CIA, involved, I think, without a doubt, in many assassinations, and we're not going to get into the details of his entire life.
Right.
I actually wanted to bring people Seymour Hersh's new article where he just kind of goes back over how it was his writing and journalism that actually brought down James Angleton or at least brought him down for a while. So I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I thought I should give a background of James Jesus Angleton. But this is mostly the Wikipedia background. So while this is a classic limited hangout. While they reveal some of what Angleton was responsible for, some of the horrible shit he did, they don't. I don't think the word assassination is anywhere in the fucking thing.
That's my favorite. Like he's done some kind of, he worked on a couple of projects, and there's a couple. He had a couple of former associates that kind of drastically stopped working for him.
Yeah, they're like it'll have a category that says scandals, and it'll say like he wiggled his dick at a bunch of 12-year-olds once in 1967, but they don't mention that he killed Kennedy. So you feel like I don't feel like I got all the scandals. I feel like I got a portion.
Well, I mean, killing Kennedy just takes up a lot. There's only so much space, so they have to pick which. Yeah. And they probably just, coin toss or Kennedy, everybody knows.
Also, the way Wikipedia sourcing works is that you can never have anyone say that the CIA killed Kennedy because there's no official sources that would say such a thing. Also, if you look at my Wikipedia, which is filled with garbage and lies, which I can't change, it also says my mother is a judge named Laura Camp, which is not true in the slightest.
So, wow.
Yeah, I had forgotten that, or maybe I don't even know if I ever knew it because I refused to really read through my whole fake Wikipedia. But my dad and mom called me, and my mom was like, "Laura Camp!" Like, who the fuck? Have you been seeing another mom? Yeah,
they just assigned you a new mom.
Yeah, I got a new mom. Not bad.
Wow. I wonder if there's like a Sarah Elwood out there that like works for the Russian something that they're going to give to me.
It's quite possible. Possible.
Can't wait.
I'm thinking of showing up at Judge Laura Camp's house and, demanding back breast milk. But
well, if she passes away, you should absolutely show up at probate and be like, "Where's my money, Mom? Where's my
Bring it." So, James Jesus Angleton, who was chief of counterintelligence in the CIA, not sure if people are familiar with CIA, from 1954 to 1975. They're the ones that created the Chia Pet.
Oh, right. Yep. And this Chia Pet overthrew a bunch of democratically elected leaders? I'm confused.
Chia Pet killed Kennedy, Malcolm X, and some others. Yeah.
And Mossadegh, the Chia Pet.
His official position within the organization was Associate Deputy Director of Operations for Counterintelligence. Angleton later became convinced the CIA harbored a high-ranking mole and engaged in an intensive search. This is obviously during the USSR when McCarthyism was rampant, and so it's interesting that besides just killing, we'll say too many of our U.S. presidents. Okay. Besides just killing too many presidents, he also ruined some lives within the CIA of people who were not Soviets, but he accused them and destroyed their careers. So, and he also was somehow involved in the planning of killing Mary Meyer, who, by the way, he was godfather to her son, who wrote the book that you and I went through. Not her son. No, it was her good family's family friend's son. That's right. So he knew her growing up. She was the mother of his best friend. But
I
anyway,
remember this. I remember when we did the 3-part series on JFK. This is where I remember now his name coming up and how we were like, how bizarre that this guy has her taken out and is like Godfather. Like, that's got to be a weird family reunion, you know?
Yeah, you'd think it's a little unsettling. So he was in World War II. He remained in Italy after the war. I guess that means he was part of the Left Behinds, which we covered, or at least facilitated them. But he established connections with other secret intelligence services and played a major role in the victory of the U.S.-supported Christian Democratic Party over the USSR-supported Italian Communist Party. So basically the fucking far-right nationalist party to help them defeat the communists. And Wikipedia doesn't say this, but I believe there were some politicians executed during that.
Maybe.
So I don't know whether he had a play in that, but returning to Washington, he was employed by various successor organizations to the OSS, which eventually became the CIA when Truman created it. Angleton was responsible for, you're going to like this, Graham, liaison with Israel's Mossad.
Oh, yes.
And Shin Bet agencies, the Israeli desk, crucial relationships that he managed for the remainder of his career. So basically, he was the American Mossad connection.
Wow.
In 1954, Allen Dulles, who had recently become director of the CIA, named Angleton chief of counterintelligence, a position that he retained for the rest of his CIA career. And Al, people will recall that JFK, one of the things he did that led to his death is he fired Allen Dulles. So Allen Dulles was no longer the head of the CIA in name, in title. He didn't have the little fucking writing on an office door, but everybody at the CIA was loyal to him. So he was basically running the CIA after he'd been fired from the CIA. Which, if you're John F. Kennedy, is a bad thing.
Wow.
Angleton's counterintelligence staff undertook a most comprehensive domestic covert surveillance project called Operation Chaos under the direction of Lyndon Johnson. The prevailing belief at the time was that the anti-war and civil rights movements of the 60s and 70s had foreign funding and support, but they never found any. Isn't that funny?
After the fact, well, whatever. You know what I mean? Can't get everything right.
By the way, don't you love that they're still doing this to the same people? Like Omali Yeshitela, who is the chairman of the Uhuru movement and the African socialist people here in the U.S., is currently just got indicted for free speech, literally what they call, quote, weaponized free speech, because they claim that he was somehow directed to say these things by Russia. So you legit have the FBI and the CIA going after, and he was around and prevalent in the 60s and the Black Panthers and everything else. And so they're still doing this, and they're still going after the same fucking people to some degree.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we always talk about this with the CIA stories. They're always sold to us as that was back then, and every time we're like, it's not like they stopped doing this. You think MK Ultra they're not doing that anymore? You don't think that they had a hearing in Congress and then they stopped. Yeah, it was all over, and they've done, and then now they just make Girl Scout cookies, and they're really nice.
And Graham, you're an expert on this. Sex trafficking ended when Epstein died, right?
Yeah, he was the only guy who did it. And Ghislaine Maxwell, she basically acted alone and trafficked a bunch of kids into an empty field.
just delivered them to an empty field.
Yep, it's over.
Go on your way.
Yep, the kids are running around free now.
DCI William Colby, who will come up later, reorganized the CIA in an effort to curb Angleton's influence, beginning by stripping him of control over the Israeli account, which had the effect of weakening counterintelligence. Colby then demanded Angleton's resignation. It has been claimed that Angleton directed CIA assistance to the Israeli nuclear weapons program. So Israel has had nukes for years and years, but the U.S. and the countries that the U.S. considers vassal states have always refused to acknowledge that Israel has nuclear weapons,
Right.
because then they'd have to regulate them. And so it seems that Angleton played a pivotal role in making sure Israel had nuclear weapons.
Thanks, John.
So this is what I'm going to get to in a minute. Seymour Hersh published a story in the New York Times about domestic counterintelligence activities under Angleton's direction against anti-war protesters and other domestic dissident organizations. Following this, Angleton's resignation was announced. Okay, so let's get to that. This is from just the other day by Seymour Hersh. Most people know Seymour Hersh broke the story that he's broken many stories over the years, but he broke the story that the U.S. Took out the Nord Stream pipeline, which the U.S. is still like barely acknowledging. Even acknowledging the accusation. They're certainly not admitting to it.
Well, they didn't admit to it, and then they like a month or so after his they came out with their actually it was whatever
it was pro-Ukrainian people that we don't know. They just dove hundreds of feet to the bottom of the ocean and put C4 on massive pipelines that are meant to withstand fucking anchors from tanker ships, and they just did it really well
in a heavily monitored area. They just a bunch of crazy guys just with scuba gear and bombs, and then they went, there's our story, and then let's move on.
Yep. Because this is often true. All you need to tank out the entire infrastructure of a nuclear power is some like flippers. You just strap on some scuba flippers. Pretty much good to go.
Yeah, and C4, which you can get at any Hobby Lobby.
It's right next to the pipe cleaners. Get it? Pipeline, pipe, huh?
I don't get it. I'm going to look that up. I don't understand.
If you want to turn to the lamp cam while you look that up, this one.
Lamp cam.
All right. So Seymour Hersh is going, in this latest article, going over the downfall of James Angleton. And again, neither Seymour Hersh nor Wikipedia nor most mainstream outlets, but even mainstream to the level of Seymour Hersh. Now, he's no longer mainstream. He's been kicked out of all the mainstream media, so now he just publishes on Substack. But even he is not going to admit or reveal that Angleton had a hand in killing people like Mary Meyer, who was JFK's mistress, but it seems like they were more than that. They were very tight-knit lovers. And not just Mary Meyer, but also Kennedy himself. Angleton probably, at the very least, was in the know, but probably had his hands on this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So Seymour Hersh meets James Angleton. He says, who was at the time, as I would learn later, in charge of the agency's illegal domestic spying program. That's interesting. The U.S. illegal domestic spying program has been revealed another time other than Snowden. So we kind of just keep doing this, where we reveal that they're spying on us, then we go, what the fuck? Then we wait 10 years, reveal it again, then we go, what?
And every time it's revealed, we then immediately put it under a bed, and nobody goes, all right, let's make sure this stuff, there's no congressional here, there's no nothing. It's just like, I think they're illegally monitoring their own citizens. Whoa, no way. Anyway, did you hear that Taylor Swift's dog is in love with Andrew Tate's Lamborghini or whatever? And then
I don't even know the names you just said, but yes.
Yeah. Well, Lamborghini is kind of
Taylor Swift like Mariah Carey?
Yeah, she's like Mariah Carey.
And yes. And Andrew Tate is like a Brad Pitt type fella?
Yeah, Brad Pitt was like a mutant that could only exist on the internet. Yeah, that would be that.
Okay, so he says Angleton was a big part of Washington's Old Boys Network. I had been chipping away on 3 major stories: the CIA's active role in undermining the socialist government of Salvador Allende in Chile. You and I have covered that.
Oh,
They went in. They likely just executed Salvador Allende, but he suicided, and they took over Chile because he was a very advanced, sophisticated socialist country.
and then we let Pinochet come in and literally turn soccer stadiums into death camps, and we were like, not our problem.
I mean, I'm not a soccer fan, so I'm fine with that. Not a fan. Soccer is a bastardization of American football, okay?
Oh, here, Lee. Thank God somebody's speaking the truth.
So, I said it.
Yeah, I said it. That's right. What, are you going to cancel me? Nobody cares about your dumb opinion. You don't like soccer. Good Lord.
If one more right winger with $100 million contract with Netflix says they've been canceled, I swear to God.
Oh, God. Or just in any winger, just these neoliberal, these $100 million neoliberals, like I'm getting canceled. No, canceled is you can't work anymore. You're ostracized. You just had to take some shit, and then you added another zero to your next check from a billion.
12 people walked out of your show. That's not.
Yeah, that's not canceled. That's not canceled.
The second story was the planned recovery of a Soviet submarine that had broken apart. I think you and I discussed that. That was Howard Hughes was involved in that.
Yep.
And then with at least 3 nuclear torpedoes on board, yet another loss of nuclear weapons.
Which ties into our next segment quite nicely, Lee. You're going to really get excited about the USS Scorpion. But anyway, keep going.
I was certain there could be no more lost nuclear weapons, Graham.
Oh, Lee, don't. Come on, buddy. But if there's one thing I know this show will run alone on, just as lost nukes and CIA operations. I know we've got another 5 years of this show just off of those segments. I can tell you that right now.
And finally, the 3 stories he was working on was CIA's spying on thousands of American anti-war dissenters who, so President Lyndon Johnson believed, were being directed by Soviet operatives. Except they never did find that they were directed by Soviet operatives. Helms was quickly removed as CIA director and sent to Tehran as the ambassador to Iran. The new director was William Colby. I had reason to believe from my sources at the agency that it had been spying on Americans in direct violation of its charter prohibiting it from spying on citizens here. All roads led to my one-time dinner partner, James Angleton, head of counterintelligence. I'm not quite sure how Seymour Hersh got everyone to trust him. That I don't understand, but secret history.
So mad. That's why they're so mad at him, because he's like a very good. He's like he's probably really good at like. I doubt he's deceptive. I'm sure he's pretty good at just like, hey man, just tell me what's up. Like, tell me what's going on. You know?
Yeah, no. Even in the interviews, it's like a disgruntled, like kind of like, look, let's stop bullshit and just tell me what's going on. Don't be a fucking pussy. Like, it's a lot of that shit.
Yeah, and they probably that's which is a great tactic to take against.
Which is what they respond to.
Exactly. He knows how to talk to them. Like, don't be a pussy. Come on, you tough guys at the Pentagon. What are you hiding? You're such a bunch of girlies. And they're like, all right, yeah.
He calls them girlies, and they're like, oh, I'll tell you everything I know. I ain't no girly. Yeah. It's just fucking Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. I ain't yellow. So, A Secret History of Colby's tenure as CIA director was declassified in 2011 and includes a chapter entitled Seymour Hersh and His Charges Against the CIA. I learned from the report that the agency was tracking my reporting on its illegal abuses that I had begun on my own early in 1972. Written by an experienced covert operative, the report notes that I had learned that an internal review of illegal agency activities, known informally as the family jewels. So they called internal illegal activities the family jewels. And then they were shocked that anyone knew that term because it was only used internally. The report says Colby's response was to instruct all CIA deputies not to speak to Seymour Hersh. Congressman Lucien Nedzi, a Democrat from Michigan, was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. This is back when you had a couple of Congress people who were like, I'm going to get to the bottom of the CIA thing. And I don't think they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Whereas nowadays, like the most aggressive, most progressive Congress people are like, the CIA, the what? I'm not familiar.
Are they under the? Are they House of Ways and Means Committee? Are they handled by that, or is that the Parks Department? Who does that?
Yeah, is it botanics have to do with the chia pets, or
is that under the does the parking the people who oversee the parking garage is that under their purview?
Yeah, because I spoke to them. They're going to put in some more EV chargers. I don't think we have a problem here.
That's what this country needs. It doesn't.
So you're saying the parking deck people have assassinated folks?
That seems weird to me.
That seems weird.
I mean,
by this time, I was telling any of the senior CIA officials who took my calls that I knew Angleton was deeply involved in spying on Americans. I suspected that any CIA report focused on Angleton, even if called the family jewels, would be far from complete. So then in December of 1974, Seymour Hersh gets a transcript of a conversation between Nedzi, the congressman, and the head of the CIA, Colby. Nedzi says, I talked to Hersh a short time ago. Who is Jim Angleton? Colby says he's the head of counterintelligence. He's kind of a legendary character. He's been around for 150 years or so. He's a very spooky guy. I love that even inside the CIA, they're like, oh, that dude that fucking killed a few presidents, he and candidates, presidential candidates, etc. It's kind of spooky. I kind of keep my distance.
Yeah, how do you deal with that guy in the employee break room when you see there's the guy that had Kennedy killed? And you just
Dude, they let him have the last bagel every time.
Every time, just is Angleton in there microwaving that weird homemade soup he made? Yeah, I'm not going in there. I'm not that soup.
I'm not going in there. That dude killed Kennedy. I'm gonna stay out here. Yeah.
Plus, that soup is nasty.
It smells.
You know he brings just really weird, stinky food into the break room.
Oh God! If there's anyone that is a stinky food man, it's Jim Angleton.
And he just sits there, probably just eats like a hard-boiled egg.
You know what he does? He eats a really farty smelling hard-boiled egg just to see if anyone will comment. Just staring him in the face, munching it like a fucking apple. Without even salt. You eat a hard-boiled egg without salt, you're a psychopath.
You are a psychopath. Yeah. You are a full psych. And he rolls it on the table really loudly to break the shell and just stares at people as they come across.
He quietly rolls it, and then right at the end, he just smashes the whole thing angrily. And then just to see everyone be startled but not say anything.
And then each flake of the shell, he writes a number on it and puts it in a file cabinet. He's out of his mind. He just
slowly puts each piece of the shell into his breast pocket of his shirt. And people, just to see if anyone will comment.
Yeah. And everyone's just sitting there going, what the fuck, dude? Let's go out to eat. I'm not doing that again.
If he can kill a president, I feel like you shouldn't comment on his soup choices.
I'm not going to talk about that egg thing. I'm not even talking about it. We're not even going to talk about it.
And the one guy sitting there I feel like we need to say something. Dude, you fucking say, you're on your own, man.
Yeah. There was one time where two guys were sitting there. One guy goes, hey, Jim, what's with the eggs? And the other guy just looks at him and goes, I don't know. And then walks out. It's just
And then they just see the following day, they see that dude's dog stapled to the front of the building.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to say that everything you and I just talked about, that was, we're theorizing. That was, I don't want to libel here. There was a theory.
Those all theories.
Nedsy said, Seymour Hersh showed me notes of what he said, and he claims Angleton was drunk. So basically, somehow Seymour Hersh gets Angleton to speak about what he's been involved in and gets him drunk. And so he tells him a lot more than he should. Colby says,
that's how Hersh does it. He gets, let's go have a couple of drinks, and gets him a couple pops in him and like, come on, don't be a pussy. And then
And then he lines up like 17 shots, and he goes, wait, you take your skirt off and take these shots or what? All that kind of talk.
Just grow a pair, have a shot, and tell me how you murdered.
The CIA's domestic spying, which, as I later learned, involved keeping more than 100,000 files on anti-war protesters. By the way, domestic spying, at that time, it was still illegal. It was still fucking highly criminal. It's still, like, we should still be offended that it went on back then. But wasn't it quaint? Like, they had files on 100,000 people. Nowadays, they have files on fucking everyone. They can look in anything. You have NSA looking into, like, what ex-girlfriends are doing. Like,
right. Which I don't want to know what any of them are doing.
Fairly not. Fair. It's a fair point. I told him that in one of my talks with Angleton, he claimed that the domestic spying operation was run by one of his deputies, and he had little to do with it. Right. He told me about what he said were two ongoing CIA covert operations, one inside Russia and the other in North Korea, whose details would make terrific stories. All I had to do, he said, was drop any mention of him in domestic spying stories. I relayed all of this to Colby and told him my story would be in print within days. Let me see if I can share this image with you real quick.
Wow.
So this is back when the mainstream media would actually publish Seymour Hersh.
Wow. Is that Angleton in the middle?
No, none of those are Angleton, actually. I think he says he didn't keep Angleton's name out of the story, though. Well, hold on. I'll show you. You want to see how spooky Angleton looks? I'll show you his fucking photo.
Yeah, let's see that creeps. I want to see this egg guy.
He looks like a maniac. Dude, you want to see a stinky soup face? This is stinky soup face.
Oh my God, that's him?
That's him.
Oh. That guy has like dead squirrels under his bed.
I would say dead squirrels in like wrapped in saran wrap in his colon. You really went light on under his bed.
Well, I just thought it was assumed he would wrap him in saran wrap and put him in his colon. God, is that guy creepy? Look at that creep.
And this is when he was young and handsome.
Yeah, that's the young handsome. That's the like suave, debonair man about town.
Imagine the aged dude in the 1970s.
Oh.
Dude, I feel like he needs like a Simon Var Sinister mustache.
Oh. You know, he has like a stuffed cat that he sits on his front porch and pets when like kids walk by, just to be weird.
Well, not just to be weird, because it's telling him stories. He's not trying to be weird. This is just who he is.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't have to make much effort.
All right, so just a little more. When the story was published in 1974, it was roundly denied by the CIA spokesman and repeatedly attacked as dead wrong by the Washington Post. Isn't it amazing that these fucking outlets can do the same bullshit for goddamn 50, 100 years, and we keep running around going, hey, Washington Post is full of shit. And everybody else in America goes, Washington Post is one of the top news outlets in our nation.
It's unreal.
It was only when Colby was called before Congress's church committee in 75 that any official acknowledged the general truth of what I had reported. Splashed across the paper's front page, my 7,000-word dispatch didn't name any of the 7 CIA sources I quoted, one of which was Colby. I stayed friendly with him after he left CIA until his death in a boating accident in 1996. Was it a boating accident?
And by boating accident, we mean that it was set on fire while the person was in it.
Yeah, the boat spontaneously exploded in the middle of quiet, placid lake.
Yeah, just on a regular day, a drone accidentally hit it.
The establishment of the church committee in 75 was the direct result. I mean, and here's the other thing is like, yes, you're like, well, 96, he was getting older. He wasn't even in government anymore. But that's around the time people start speaking to their biographers. And they're like, isn't it? I mean, Angleton started spilling all this shit when he was like in his last 10 years. The establishment of the church committee in 75 was a direct result of my story. Its hearings and papers provided the most detailed examination of the CIA to this day. I don't think we will see its likes again. The Democrats in the White House and Congress have shown no interest in trying to learn what the agency and the U.S. covert operatives have been doing on the ground in Ukraine or under the waters of the Baltic Sea. And I just want to conclude here with an important note about Angleton, who was forced to step down and disgraced when all this was revealed. However, in 1975, Angleton was awarded the CIA's Distinguished Intelligence Medal. By this time, Angleton had been quietly rehired by the CIA at his old salary through a secret contract. Until 75, operational issues remained solely the preserve of James Angleton.
Well, it's good we have one guy running the entire intelligence apparatus in a supposed democratic country. That makes me feel safe. That's good.
Yep. And I love that the CIA was like, you need to resign in disgrace because you've been spying on Americans. And then a year later, they're like, if we can kill presidents, I bet we can quietly rehire you. Like, we can certainly get away with rehiring you.
Yeah. Or he just like showed up at some of these guys that fired him houses and were like, so I've got some files and some, and they're just going to go, I can give them to the press, or you can give me my old paycheck back.
I have some videos, which I'm going to spare you having to look at them. I'm just going to play a little audio of what the video is. And the congressperson just hears, oh. And then he shuts it off and he goes, so how about my job?
I'm not asking for a raise. I'm not an unreasonable man. Just send me my old paychecks back to the same old address. You guys
just
have all
keep sending paychecks.
Thanks, fellas. That was government secret segment number 1. Now here's government secret segment number 2. The USS Scorpion. Lee Camp. You know, I love a good lost nuke. Well, how about a lost nuclear-powered submarine? The USS Scorpion, SSN 589, was a skipjack-class nuclear-powered submarine that served the United States Navy and the 6th vessel and 2nd submarine of the U.S. Navy to carry that name.
So was it nuclear-powered and nuclear carrying?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was lost with all hands on May 22nd, 19...
I hate that when you lose a nuke sub. Like, it's just like, I know I had it. I had it at the bar.
Right. I know. I was like, I always think, I remember I picked it up. We put it in my car. I picked you up. Then we went to the bar to watch the game.
And I remember in the car you commented, oh, is that a nuclear sub? So I know we had it in the car.
And then I like, and I was like, should I bring the sub into the bar? And you're like, nah, they have nuclear subs for their happy hour. So I kept it in the car. And then
I ran into my ex-girlfriend when we were walking to the car. Have we already gotten in the car? And because I remember chatting with her. And dude, what makes me crazy is she still looks good. Like, fuck that. Like, what is with her? She like looks better now. And so that got in my head, and I was like not thinking about the nuclear sub at all.
I really got so tight. I saw an old buddy in the bar, and then I forgot. And I think, remember, didn't he say he needed a ride? And then I give him my car because I'd been drinking. I don't remember. This is where it gets foggy.
This is where it gets foggy.
I think I left. I think I went back to the car and I brought it in the bar, and we forgot that we did that. I think that's what happened with the nuclear sub.
And I did. It was either 14 or 15 lines of a Coke-like substance in the bathroom. And after that, it gets a little blurry.
Yeah. They accidentally had a whippet machine that got turned on, and I tripped and fell, and I kept doing whippets over and over. So then
machine. It's got a guy who's just cranking it off to the side.
I don't do drugs, so I don't know the terminology for whippets. So I'm just going to it's like a carnival, like tick, tick, tick,
I don't even know if I've ever seen a whippet, but I'm pretty sure there's not a machine involved.
It's like you put a quarter in, it's got one of those claws, and then it grabs.
Yeah. Oh my God! Can you imagine how much money they'd make if there was just a couple of baggies of Coke and like just a heroin needle in a machine with that fucking claw, and it just keeps bloop like can't get a grip, and you just have like a line of Coke addicts just out the door waiting hours.
Just going nuts, just like a vial, just meth, just oh, wah, wah, wah. That machine would make $1 million a night. That machine.
That'd be amazing.
So actually, I know you thought we lost it in the bar, but it turns out that the USS Scorpion is one of 2 nuclear submarines the U.S. Navy has lost. 2.
Wait, so I was thinking it was a Russian sub, but we mentioned a lost Russian sub in the last story. This is a American. Okay.
Yes, and the U.S. has lost 2.
2.
The other one was the USS Thresher. The Thresher, was one of 4 mysterious submarine disappearances in 1968. The others being the Israeli submarine INS Dakar and the French submarine Minerve and the Soviet submarine K-129.
I'm guessing octopus because they are actually quite smarter than people give them credit for. I bet they took it down.
Yes. But they lost it, and then they found it, and everything is safe. Oh, no, wait. I read this wrong. The wreckage of the ship remains in the North Atlantic Ocean with all of its armaments and nuclear reactor.
Oh, fuck. The octopus are armed. Ah, for fuck's sake.
And you know these octopus are just like, whoop, whoop, like they're waiting to just...
Dude, they know what they're doing.
They're going to attack.
Lying in wait until shit gets really bad. I heard they're coming out the same week as Fast and Furious 39. They're waiting for that.
And they're just like, and they're going to have all these like nukes, and they're going to come out of the ocean, this giant Kraken, while singing, "I'd like to be under the sea," while they're throwing nukes at San Diego or whatever. And
Yep.
In an octopus's garden. Or they bomb. Humanity is the problem.
Have you pitched this to Hollywood, Graham? Because I would watch this movie. I am here for this.
As soon as the writer's strike is over, Lee, this is it. The Kraken with nuke story. This, let me just tell you what happened. There was in October 1967, the Scorpion started a refresher training and weapons system acceptance tests and was giving a new commanding officer, Frances Slattery. Following type training out of Norfolk, Virginia, she got underway on the 15th of February, 1968 for a Mediterranean Sea deployment. She operated within the 6th Fleet into May and then headed west home was what was going to happen. The Scorpion suffered several mechanical malfunctions, including a chronic problem with freon leakage from refrigeration systems.
What year was this?
1968.
I will say, like, if you imagine the computers we had in the 80s, and now imagine you're going like several miles underwater with those computer systems. It doesn't surprise me at all that they were just like, oh, it says reboot, and then they're all dead. Like,
Yeah. It's just...
I'm just getting a little hourglass. What does that mean? Doesn't surprise me at all.
So then, Lee, after the Freon mishap, an electrical fire occurred in an escape trunk, which I don't know why they're doing some type of magic shows on this thing, but there's apparently an escape trunk.
Escape trunk. So whenever there was an emergency, everyone had to go into a little trunk and go, where am I going? And then they're gone.
Yeah, and then the captain would like pretend to saw the trunk, and then it would be gone or whatever.
And you have a line of Navy men, seamen, if you will, trying to get the fuck out that are like, can we speed up the sawing or something?
And the captain's just making this big vaudeville type show out of it. They're like, we're done. The ship is sinking.
He's like, without the sawing, there's no show.
And then he does the whole curtain thing. They're like, oh, he always drags the show out.
Fuck with the curtain.
So, when the fire occurred in the escape trunk, when a water leak shorted out a shore power connection, no evidence was found that Scorpion's speed was restricted in May of 1968, although it was conservatively observing a depth of limitation of 500 feet. So they already were having problems with it and still had it out in sea. Due to the incomplete implementation of planned post-thresher safety checks and modifications, because the thresher had already sunk. So when the first one sank, they were like, gee, maybe we should do something about this, but let's let it go out in the Mediterranean and run around a little bit before.
maybe we should do something about this, but just let her stretch her legs.
Let's do the escape trunk bit a couple more times because the guys really like the magic shows. After departing the Mediterranean on May 16, Scorpion dropped 2 men at Naval Station Rota in Spain, one for a family emergency, lucky for that guy, and one for health reasons. Both those guys made a smart call.
Yeah. Maybe it was like, dude, I've seen the hourglass on the computer screen. I'm out, man. If I'm not feeling well. Could you leave me at my mom's place?
This guy was like, they haven't fixed any of the problems that sank the other one. Oh, yep, I need help. Ooh, I need to go to Spain for a chest thing, and just got out smart.
I love the idea that on a sub you can just be like, you know what? Are we headed by Spain? Just drop me in Spain.
Yeah, man. I'll catch a train back. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some U.S. ballistic missile submarines operated from U.S. Naval Base in Rota. USS Scorpion is thought to have provided noise cover for USS John C. Calhoun when they both departed to the Atlantic. Although with Soviet intelligence trawlers, Soviet fast nuclear attack submarines were attempting to detect and follow the U.S. submarines going out of Rota. In this case, 2 fast 32-knot Soviet November-class Hunter killer subs. Scorpion was then detailed to observe Soviet naval activities in the Atlantic and the vicinity of the Azores.
You know, this is actually an appropriate name because I don't think scorpions do well in the water.
Yeah, it is. It's really horrible. Why would you name
it's like it's submarine leopard? It's like
oh my God. The USS Plowhorse was going. So
USS Dachshund drowned today.
Yeah, don't call it the Dolphin or whatever. So the Scorpion was then prepared to head back to the naval station in Norfolk, right? It attempted to send radio traffic to the naval station Rota for an unusually long period beginning shortly before midnight on the 20th of May and ending on midnight of the 21st of May, but was only able to reach a naval communication station in Nia Makri, Greece, which forwarded the message to the headquarters called Comspulent, Lieutenant John Roberts was handed Commander Slattery's last message that he was closing on the Soviet submarine and research group. So they were tracking Soviet submarines running at a steady of 15 knots to begin surveillance of the Soviets. That was the last message they gave out. Scorpion was expected to arrive at her home port in Norfolk, Virginia on May 27th at 1300 local time. After she was overdue for several hours, the Atlantic Fleet launched a sea and air search. The peak search period from the 28th to the 30th of May, involving as many as 55 ships and 35 search aircraft. A brief radio message, including Scorpion's codename Brandywine, was received by several search parties on the evening of May 29. The source could not be identified in the search area, derived from bearings of the radio messages. The Navy suspected possible failure and launched a search, but Scorpion and her crew were declared presumed lost on June 5th. Then there was the search continued. They employed the methods, a whole search team.
They're probably living happily underwater somewhere right now.
Yeah, well, there's a photo of the bow section of the Scorpion by the crew of the.
It's just a scratch.
Just a scratch.
They could be doing fine.
At the end of October 68, the Navy's oceanic research ship Mazar located sections of the hull of the Scorpion on the seabed, about 400 nautical.
Those were the sections we didn't want. Doing fine.
They're fine. Every submarine just kind of breaks off parts it doesn't want, leaves them on the bottom of the ocean.
You always ditch the extra pieces. They put extra pieces on for just that reason.
That's the purpose of a breakable submarine. So it was, they found roughly 740 kilometers southwest of the Azores under more than 9,800 feet of water. This was after the Navy had released sound tapes from its underwater listening system, which contained the sounds of the destruction of Scorpion. The Court of Inquiry has subsequently reconvened, and other vessels, including the Bathyscape and Tristy II, were dispatched to the scene to collect pictures for the data, which is where they show these photos that I'm looking at right now, which actually I'll share with everybody real quick.
Yeah, man. Share some photos.
So that on the right there, that is the photos that were taken of the bow that was like on the 9,800 under 9,800 feet of water.
That's either the bow of the Scorpion or a poor photo of a French onion soup.
So it had a mechanical failure and everybody died, or the Soviets blew it out of the water and we didn't want to get into a war. I don't know.
I mean, it was either a turtle got caught in the engine or it was a Soviet sabotage. One of those two.
The magic trick went bad, or that's what happened. So the bow of the Scorpion appears to have skidded upon impact with the Globergina ooze on the seafloor, digging a sizable trench. The sail had been dislodged as the hull of the operations compartment upon which it perched disintegrated and was lying on its port side. One of the Scorpion's running lights was in the open position, as if it had been on the surface at the time of the mishap.
Well, it makes sense. You know what they said after the escape trunk? Take a bow.
Yes. A second Navy investigation going through the wreckage in 1969 suggested that the Scorpion's hull was crushed by implosion forces as it sank below crush depth.
God, sounds like my last marriage. Totally crushed by implosion forces.
Just held before crush depth. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
They said it had been pinched by excessive sea pressure. The operations compartment collapsed at frame 33, this being the king frame of the hull, reaching its structural limit first. Then they go into all this technical shit. The only damage to the torpedo room compartment appeared to be a hatch missing from the forward escape trunk. Palermo pointed out that this would have occurred when water pressure entered the torpedo room at the moment of implosion.
Please tell me someone left a door open. Did you close? I told you to close. You didn't tell me to close the door.
You said it. You said.
I did. You said mind the door. Mind the door doesn't mean close the door.
Oh. They did a report in 1968, 69, and another one in 1970. In 1984, the Norfolk Virginian pilot and the Legistar obtained documents related to the inquiry and reported that the likely cause of the disaster was the detonation of a torpedo while the Scorpion's own crew attempted to disarm it. That isn't that kind of the scary one? Like they accidentally blew it up.
They were trying to disarm their own torpedo?
Yeah.
Nice.
They were trying to disarm it and then accidentally blew up their own torpedo? That sounds weird to me.
Sounds not good. Wouldn't it be great if one of these reports came back? They're like, we've carefully analyzed what happened, and it turns out that it's 1968. We don't have actually good computers. We're just a half step away from apes, and we shouldn't be underwater.
Well, I'm going to leave this final thing. This should put everybody at ease. The two nuclear-tipped Mark 45 torpedoes that were lost when the Scorpion sank show no signs of instability. So rest easy, Lee. It's all good.
They're like the pieces at the bottom of the ocean look great. Tip-top.
Tip-top. Sitting under 9,800 feet of water. The plutonium and uranium cores of these weapons likely corroded to a heavy, insoluble material soon after the sinking. Oh, I feel better already.
I wonder if they told this to the parents of the people that died. Don't worry, the ship looks great.
The ship looks great, and the two nukes at the bottom of the ocean probably are not a problem.
Unless the octopus get them.
Well, Lee, this is some more stuff to put you at ease. The materials remain at or close to their original location inside the boat's torpedo room. If the corroded materials were released outside the submarine, their density and insolubility would cause them to settle into the sediment. Okay, go to sleep, everybody. Story bedside.
Nice.
Don't you feel better?
Nice.
So that is the USS Scorpion and the two nukes that sit at the bottom of the ocean near Greece that we're totally fine. So rest easy, everybody.
All right, man. Well, everybody, we are headed over to Patreon to do a little extra segment for you. And this one is a doozy. This one, I found one. It might be my favorite twigs this week in Government Secrets to date, about a riot that may or may not be theater-based.
Oh, love it.
And so join us over at patreon.com/government secrets for that. Also, when you become a member, you unlock like 30 segments that you can watch at any time that are evergreen. So, yeah, join us over there.
Check that out. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, I have a show tonight, Thursday, May 11th at Stir Crazy Comedy Club. And I'm in Tucson tomorrow night, Friday, May 12th. Tickets are at grahamelwood.com. And I will be performing in Cancun next week, May 18th. And go to grahamelwood.com and join my mailing list. Get on my newsletter because the big tech companies cannot throttle a newsletter. So sign up for that.
And if you're not in Phoenix, Arizona, then you're making better life choices.
And sign up for our Visit the Two Nukes at the Bottom of the Ocean tier at patreon.com/government secrets. So we will see you over there.
All right, everybody. And I'm at leecamp.net. Have a good night, day, whatever.
GovSeeks, episode 122. Creepy CIA Angleton guy and nukes at the ocean.
See you in a minute.
Bye, buddy. Thank you, Dave Burt over at Rockfin, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. All right, guys, we'll see you over at Rockfin, at patreon.com/government secrets. We'll be over there in like less than 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone. No show next week, but we'll see you in 2 weeks.